you can see, this may be just off the wall, but you can see the beauty of a painting from far away, but as you get closer, you can see the brushstrokes. You can see how the artist made that picture what it is, and how they made it beautiful. I think that kind of applies here. But I was looking through this desk earlier and saw this little Gideon's Bible. Now, I'm not dogging the Gideons at all, but if you get this Bible, it only has the New Testament and the Psalms and Proverbs. And because they want people to know Jesus, and that's right. But if you turn to Matthew chapter 1 in this Gideon's Bible, and the first thing you read is a big list of names of people you've never heard of, and I would wonder, well, who are all these people? Well, you can go back and trace all those people through the Old Testament, through God's story, like we talked about. And that goes back to what David said earlier, is that people argue, well, there's no Jesus in it. Well, I would argue there is. Like it's like he said, it's all about Jesus. It's all about how God had that plan for Jesus in the very beginning. And then you get to see that fulfillment as you start reading the Gospels. And that just adds more beauty to it. So, my final question, did anyone else have anything to add to that? Okay. So my final question for you guys is, what do you specifically love about the Old Testament? And we'll start with Nikki this time, unless you need to think about it.
I think I love the people. I love the stories that we have about the people, because like David was saying earlier, there is that story, and God's people continuously fail. But even when they're failing, God's love shines through, because he provides at least one person to kind of help. And I think that's amazing that God loved a group of people that were failing so much that he equipped someone to talk to them. And it could be one of the prophets. It could be even females. Ruth, Deborah. All of these women were Esther. All of these women were part of Jesus' story, and we wouldn't know about them without the Old Testament. And they give me an example of how a woman can live her life in faith, and I think that's something that we all need.
I was reading about Hannah's story earlier, and was just amazed at her prayer as she gives her son up to the Lord. It's really moving. All right, who wants to go?
I think growing up, we learned about the Old Testament in church, but when you think about Old Testament heroes or people, you think about Moses and Noah, and you think about all these men, David. But the women, you hear about them, but it's almost like it's just a random Sunday school lesson about Hannah or Rachel and Leah. It'll be a random thing. But I just finished a book, and it was called The Women of the Bible Speak. And in the book, the author, she takes all these different women, and she talks about them and kind of shows you how God was just at the forefront of their lives. And it was very eye-opening to me to read that, and so I think more recently that has become probably one of my most favorite parts of the Old Testament, is to read their stories and be able to directly relate to them because they are women. Like Evan was talking about Hannah having to give Samuel back to the Lord. That's an awesome story. There's just all kinds of things that you can read that are very eye-opening, and even some of the women that have like a bad reputation for being, not the best, you can still read their stories and even see how God was working through that.
And Rahab was a prostitute.
Yeah.
But she's in the lineage of Jesus.
Yeah.
Can you say prostitute?
So yeah, that's probably that's probably my favorite part.
Lady of the evening.
And then also just seeing like I guess how we keep coming back to this, how it leads up to Jesus is so awesome to me. And to kind of put yourself in the position, like if you're in the Old Testament, wherever you are, like they were constantly looking for their Messiah. Like the Jewish people, the Israelites, were spending their whole lives looking for their Messiah, and then he finally gets there, and that's like such an awesome story to just know that he was finally there, even though a lot of them didn't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
But still, he came. So
I think that's something I didn't realize until I read Nancy Guthrie's The Promised One, and that's just through Genesis. But she points to where Jesus is leading to Jesus. It's foreshadowing Jesus. It's talking about him specifically throughout that whole book of Genesis, that first book of the Bible, and that's just really neat to see.